Food Service Power Plant Network. Yo, friends, it is Monday night. For some of you, it's night. Where Fred is right now, singer, it's night. I'm in California where it's late afternoon, early evening. The sun is still shining. Regardless, I hope it's beautiful where you are. Thanks for joining us. It's been a couple weeks since we've done one of these. I've been on the road having a blast seeing customers, connecting with reps, all the things that we love to do. I hope you're out there having fun wherever you are. I got to see Fred speak. Fred Singer's joining us from Singer Equipment Company, of course, tonight. And I had the pleasure of seeing Fred speak back at the FENS Gala, where Singer Equipment Company was, of course, this year's FENS Dealer of the Year. And it was such a fun talk to listen to. I was amazed by his oratory skills, his way to connect, to relate. And I thought, oh my gosh, we haven't had Fred on. We need to go get Fred on, which would be amazing. And so I'm so glad he's joining us tonight. Of course, Singer continues to do wonderful things. And I know so many of you are excited. We already have 15 people on, at least via LinkedIn. I know there's more on Facebook. Listen, welcome wherever you're coming to us from. If you're on LinkedIn, it's great to see you. If you are in the Food Service Power Plant Network in Facebook, it's great to see you. And maybe you're in the K-12 Power Plant Network. And it's wonderful that you're with us as well. Undoubtedly, wherever you're coming to us from, you have purchased products from Singer Equipment Company, and they've served you in some capacity. Look at all of these fun people. Look at this. Palmer is in the house. Boom. Yo, Rick Palmer. Good to see you, my friend. We've got someone giddy. Love it. Looking forward to it. Everybody, I'm going to look on my phone real quick just to, here we go. So I can see who's on here. And here we go. Jennifer Rolander's in the house. Zena Dater's in the house. Awesome. Morgan Tucker's in the house. That's who this was. I love the smiley faces from Morgan. Boom. Looking forward to it. Look at this. Jamie Arguello is on. Fred is truly remarkable. I'm filled with the anticipation for your Singer inspo tonight. Holy smokes. Jamie, I would agree with you. Looking forward to hearing from Fred. That's Matt Rigney with Panasonic. Look at this. Deirdre Flynn is here. Hi, Dee. Vivia is here. Jim Monet is in the house. Chris Falari, Danielle Mason, everybody. It's so great to see you. As always, remember, you can comment, you can ask questions. Obviously, we've got people commenting. Looking forward to learning tonight. If you've got questions for Fred, you're welcome to throw them in there. I will do my best to keep up with everything. There's so much excitement and energy right now. I don't know that my fingers will move fast enough to get all the comments, but I'm going to try. And hey, guys, hi there. Looking forward to this. Fred is a great speaker. That's Joel Cruz. Hey, Joel. Chris Reeves is in the house. That's Chris. That's Chris. Love it. You're welcome to ask a question, anything you want. And real quick, a couple quick thanks. Of course, the Zumba group. Zumba, Maureen, Dave, Joe, team, amazing. Thanks for helping make these conversations possible. Thanks for the gala where you bring so many of us together. And I got to hear Fred speak for one of the first times. Also, thank you to the Craven Company. If you haven't seen, all 115 or so of these conversations are on our website, fspowerplant.com. Go check them out. So many incredible industry leaders willing to be real, willing to tell their story, willing to share with us their ups and their downs and their passions and their excitements, all of those things. So go check them out there. And my question is, where is Fred? That's a great question. Why don't we go answer it? Let's bring Fred on. Fred, hey there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be on. Thank you for having me. This is super fun.
This is fun. We've got so many people so excited. Robert's in the house. Hey, yo. That's really funny. That's awesome. I love it. Fred and I discovered today that we live right near each other. Well, my former where I used to live. So, which is really fun. Lots of connections, high school connections where I went to school and his kids went to school. And so these things we find out about ourselves, which is pretty cool. Fred, you're part of a family business. You've got a storied career. Could you take just a couple minutes to share with anyone who doesn't know just some of your Singer Equipment Company's journey and your career journey into the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So my company was founded by my grandfather, Fred Singer, also same name, in 1918. So we're over 100 years old. I never got a chance to meet my grandfather. He passed away the year before I was born. But my father took over in 1950 and ran the company until 2000. So he had just a tremendous run in the industry. My father worked a lot when I was a little boy. And so I used to go with my father into the office on the weekends on Saturday and just sit with him in his office and I remember literally drawing pictures in his office on the floor. And then it wasn't long till my dad's like, well, why don't you go file something or go
Sure.
sweep the warehouse? So, I mean, literally that was the first job I had at the company, was sweeping the warehouse. I mean, it's such a cliche, but it's totally true. And I worked almost every summer in the warehouse or in the showroom helping out. And then went off to my first job at the Boston Consulting Group, which was a management consulting firm, kind of like McKinsey or Bain.
Yeah.
BCG is one of those strategy firms. And did that for 3 years, and then came back to work with my father. I thought, you know what, I'll try this for 1 year, see how it works out. And that was 30 years ago.
Wow, amazing. What brought you back in, Fred? What compelled you to say, you know what? Let's go help out dad and
Yeah.
let's go see what this is all about.
So I love management consulting. It was incredibly stimulating. It was a fun time of my life. I was around really interesting people doing really interesting things. But after doing that for a few years, I really had a bug to do something rather than just tell other people what to do. I thought, if I could tell these people how to improve their business, why don't I just do it for myself? It will be much more stimulating. I want to run something, not just give other people thoughts and advice. And so I made the career transition at that time. And that was really the bug, to put my hands into a business and help run it.
Amazing. I love that you get to. When we talked earlier, you were talking about Mondays, that Monday is one of your favorite days. And I was in the conference room at CalMel, and Johnny Callahan was on the other end of the table. And he goes, after we got done, he goes, I love Mondays too. It's my favorite day of the week. Have you always loved your work? Or did you find when you moved into this, you found a new passion, a new excitement to make you so excited to work?
I've always enjoyed work. I like work. I like the industry. I like the people I work with. I like what we're building and doing. And Monday's kind of the kickoff to all the things I want to get done that week. So it's fun. I mean, I'm excited to get in there and make it happen.
Well, your enthusiasm is contagious, and I'm sure there's a lot who look and think, I wonder, I think that's an offering for people. I've had different career paths where I didn't love Mondays as much. And I for anyone who struggles with that, I don't know, open your eyes to the possibility that maybe more exists for something like that. You might love Mondays, love your work so much that you might enjoy it. I bet that exists. Kevin Coachman's in the house. Well, hello, my friend. This is awesome. Good evening, Fred. Are there someone said once, like, we are the product of our disciplines, of our habits. Any disciplines you practice that you feel like have really contributed to your career success?
Yeah. Well, some of them are just sort of what works for me. So one thing that works for me is I have a lot of energy. So I exercise first thing in the morning. That gets me going. I like to get up early. I like to exercise. That's the first step for me. And then in the day, it's very traditional. Figure out the things you want to get done that day. So the day doesn't own you. So you own the day. Very, very standard. And then for me, it was always, especially when I had kids at home, had very firm boundaries about having dinner at home with my family. And this is an industry where you can do a lot of things at night, but during all the time my kids were at home, I wanted that time with my family. And then the last thing is I like to read in the evening. I think that gets me ready to actually have a good night's sleep, and it gets my brain going, and I just a lot of good things happen that way.
Yeah. Do you have a practice of fiction versus nonfiction? Is there a type of book generally you gravitate toward?
I bounce back and forth.
You go back and forth?
I bounce back and forth.
For some reason, I tend to go fiction at night before bed. It winds me down, and nonfiction in the day or the morning. I don't know why. Maybe I don't have the mental capacity for nonfiction at night for some reason.
Nonfiction will put me to sleep faster.
You're right. It doesn't get you to it. I love it. In your FENS Dealer of the Year acceptance speech, I walked away with a word that you mentioned over and over, and that word was grateful. You were grateful. Grateful is a practice. I think gratitude is a habit and a choice. Can you tell me why that was such a recurring theme in not just your talk, but obviously in your life?
Well, first of all, I think I have an enormous amount to be grateful for. Right. I am grateful for the fact that we live today. Every single person on this call, we live in an unbelievable time when human life expectancy has tripled, for over what a traditional human life expectancy would be. As recently as 100 years, think of we're tens of thousands of years old. We're living through that time. We're living through an explosion of wealth. We're living in the richest country in the world with the most opportunity. All of those things. Every person on this call hit the lottery. The question is, what do we do with it? So, and beyond that, I have even more benefits. I have a wonderful family. I have a family business. I have the reputation of all the people in my family who spent decades and decades building up a reputation that I was able to carry forward. All of those things. I often say, if I was a football quarterback, I started on the 3-yard line. Like, my team took me all the way there and gave me the ball, and I have a great team around me. It's like, just get it in the end zone.
That's a great.
So that's kind of how I see. That's kind of how I see it. I mean, I'm unbelievably fortunate, and I have to recognize that every day. And part of that is just also trying to pass that forward to others.
Yeah. I have to think that when your team or your customers or your suppliers get to watch you practicing that, living that out, that inevitably they become more like that. They recognize the power that gratitude holds in your life, and they want to practice that as well. Is that something was there a point in time? I feel like gratitude for me was something I learned at some point. I needed a change in my mindset. And I read a book on gratitude. And so I do a little journal where I write down some things. But it was something that was an intentional change in my focus for my mindset purposes. Was that something for you, or did you learn it from a family member, or you just kind of always carry that in you?
So I think I was also lucky in that I sort of had that inclination to look at the world that way and be full of gratitude. But when I had kids, we did a gratitude practice, because I think you can't take it for granted that everyone will feel that way. And just to instill that in our children and to practice it on a daily basis, that nothing is better for changing your mindset than how you perceive the events around you.
Yeah, well said. That's really well said. I'm going to make that note. Perceiving nothing's better. The other theme that I picked up in your message at the FNS Gala was, you mentioned a lot of names, wonderful names of people that had supported you, who who had helped build the company, who had supported you personally, professionally. Relationship plays a really key role, it seems, in who you are as a person, and you honoring those. I'm curious if that was something you learned somewhere. It's not everyone that totally recognizes or chooses to call out the role that everyone else has played. Is that something you learned along the way?
I think it's something that I sort of stumbled across as I was thinking about what made the business special. Like, at some point, I think all of us who have the opportunity to do so think, like, what's the point of this? What are we doing this for? Yeah, okay, great. We're making great living for our families, but what's the point? Like, why this and why not something else? And for me, the point of this, and I started thinking, like, what is the most fundamental source of joy in life? Is it money? No, it's not money. It's not even close. Like, every study, everything comes down to the quality of your relationships. That is it. It's not a secret. Everybody really kind of knows it. They just don't act on it. So I started thinking, okay, wait a second. If that is the source of joy and value in life, what can I do as a business leader to empower that, to enable that? But then I started thinking beyond that, and I started thinking, well, what is it in the end that creates the opportunity for your customers to want to do business with you? Well, a lot of it really comes down to the relationship, the trust, and the enjoyment and mutual give and take that you have from that relationship. And I said, well, what makes people want to work with you, to come join your company? It's usually because they trust you, they want to have a relationship with you. That's what makes people stay or leave companies, as if they feel valued and as if they're actually seen as a person and in a relationship with the company. What do vendors want? Vendors want to be in a trusted relationship with a supplier. I was like, how many times does it have to hit me on the head before? Like, if it's all about relationships, then let's build a business that actually creates the practice and discipline and all of the things that you need to do to build good relationships. I just started trying to tear that apart and build that into my business. If I can build a business that repeatedly builds great relationships, good stuff should happen. And that's what I've tried to do.
It carries, and I think the proof is in the pudding there. Your emphasis on relationships and taking care of people, and I love that it comes back to joy, Fred. It's I think oftentimes we forget about, I don't know, sometimes joy, sometimes in business and work we don't like to talk about how we feel. It's let's just get the job done and let's make a transaction and let's, whatever these things are. I think the fact that it comes back to how we want to feel, we want to be full of life, we want to experience joy,
Yes.
we want happiness and connection. And I love that you recognize all these studies that it comes back to the depth of our relationships is equal to the amount of joy we experience. And
That's it. It's a simple equation. And I've had so much joy in my life from work, which I don't want to sound maudlin. I mean, like, there's times at work which aren't fun or difficult, or you have to do something really hard that you don't want to do, but you have to for the business. So there's those. But I have had so much joy throughout the years at work. And I wanted to wish that on everybody who worked, not just in my company, but with me in any capacity. Like, I want to try to build that. And what we do is hard. There's going to be stressful times when you're building a project, or you're selling. I mean, there's a lot of stress out there, but I want it to be a joyful experience.
That's beautiful. I love that. And a great lesson. Look at this, Joe Deckelman. Joe says, thanks for accommodating the West Coast, gents. We're grateful for many things, including those that consider us due. Joe, I don't know if you're talking about the time that we choose to do this. Originally, believe it or not, we started an hour later. And then on the East Coast, I was interviewing someone on the East Coast, and it was started at 9. And they're like, man, I am tired. I'm in my pajamas getting ready to go to bed. So we moved it back an hour, but we wanted to start at 5 West Coast so that you could join after work. I'm glad you're here. Our friend Jamie has a question. Fred, as a former management consultant, what would be your top recommendation for a food service equipment dealer looking to enhance their business?
So, Jamie, what I always say is, for every project, begin with the end in mind. Try to understand where you're going, and then that will lead your course. Typically, for me, that starts with identifying a type of customer or a segment of customer that I can do something special for that other people can't. I think one of the big innovations that I brought to Singer, and this is probably true for a lot of dealerships. When I grew up, my dad was a great salesperson. He loved selling restaurant equipment. And the way he sort of looked at the world was, he said, we have a warehouse full of restaurant equipment and supplies. Let's go out and sell that to anybody who buys that stuff. I don't care who they are. And he just wanted to connect with people and sell. And I said, we need to rethink the business and think of who are the best segments of customers to serve, and how do we do something special and differentiated for them. And that helps you build sort of a moat. When you can do and connect with people in a way that others cannot, that's how you build a sort of fundamentally strategically sound business.
Wow, that's a great answer. What can you do better than others to connect and meet your business? I love it. Wonderful. Here's another one. Our buddy Kevin from KCL. Fred, what form of service giving back provides the most satisfaction to you?
Yeah, to me, okay, because
I guess so. I would think that's what Kevin's asking there.
Let's go with that.
Let's figure. Yeah.
So for me, it's mentoring. Anything I can do to help other people develop, that to me is that's the most wonderful. My wife is a teacher. She volunteers as a teacher in Northeast Philadelphia, teaching reading recovery, and just like the joy she gets from helping kids develop and learn to read, it's just unbelievable. I love helping professional people develop, kids, anything like that. That to me is amazing.
Fred, wow. Did you have someone? Sometimes I think, we learn a lot of things along the way, and things including that bring us joy like that. Was there someone in your life? Did you have a mentor that made such a difference that you were like, you know what? The way they lived into my life, spoke into my life, as an example into my life, I want to offer that for others as well.
Well, I've had a lot. I've been blessed with mentors. So first of all, I would say I was blessed with great teachers. So anybody who's had a great teacher in their life knows the type of impact that person had on you. Yeah. And I had a lot of great teachers. When I came into the industry, our CFO at the time was a woman named Anita Rubin. And this was back in a time where there were not a lot of women professionals. She was CFO and basically really ran the company almost as the president, while my father really played the role of sort of CEO.
Okay.
She was amazing. She was amazing in the way she was respected and loved and tough and a great business person and a great humanitarian. I mean, she was just a complete model for me in terms of what it looked like to run a great business. And I just had the world of respect for her. And she was a great mentor to me personally. Outside, I just sucked up everything I could from everybody I watched. All of when I was blessed, I was a kid, I was going to IFED meetings at the time, and there were all these great guys running dealerships, and I just stood there with eyes like saucers, and I just watched what they did, and I went to their businesses, and they toured me around and showed me what they did, and I just come back with tons of notes going, wow, we can learn a lot from these people.
Here's a question, Fred. Sometimes professionally, there can be a perception of some people that I show my value by showing you how much I know. There's a fear of being genuine about what I know and willingness to learn, right? Which I think crushes curiosity and creativity. Do you find today versus, let's say, 20 years ago, do you find people more willing to be right where they're at and be curious and not feel like they have to know everything?
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's the benefit, first of all, of being new in the industry.
Yeah.
Or just being young. It's a great card to play, which is like, hey, I'm not expected to know anything. I'm a sponge. I'm here to learn. We have, over the last, I don't know, 5-7 years, brought in a lot of young people to Singer. I love spending time with them, their curiosity, their interests, their ideas, their questions. I think if you create an environment where it's okay to ask questions and feel like it's a safe space. That's what my wife talks about in school. Like, there has to be a safe space to be vulnerable. If you create those safe spaces, people will come. People love to ask questions and to learn. They're just, they're always a little worried about being embarrassed. But if you make it safe enough, people will come.
I think that's beautiful that you recognize and are willing to create safe places, safe spaces for people to be right where they are. There's a lot of freedom there and the ability to not have to be right, not have to pretend we're somewhere we aren't. And then, creativity flows right from that.
And I will say, like, outside of this industry, I've been very lucky. I've formed a number of sort of working groups with the presidents of other wholesale distribution companies, non-competing industries, and who have been very generous in sharing their time and expertise with me. Many of these are companies 2-3 times. I mean, at one time, they were probably 10, 20 times Singer size, and they would share, and I'm sure I asked so many dumb questions. So I'm very comfortable. I believe in being a lifelong learner. That's what I love about this industry. You can learn every day. As much as you can consume tomorrow, there's more to learn. And so that's one of the things I just absolutely love about this business. I want everyone to love that, to feel like you can learn your whole life.
And maybe it was Rob Connolly, our buddy Rob, who said, that curiosity and that love of learning is the fountain of youth. It's hard to get born. It's hard to get bored when you love learning. Every day you wake up and there's something new. Something new to love, something new to be curious and open up a different door and see what's down that hall. Who knows?
That's it.
Charlie Serrata from Naples. Hi, Charlie. Charlie's here. This is our friend Claudia Harry. Claudia, meeting people where they are is a great skill. Nice work, Jason. Thanks, Fred. Hi, Claudia. I love it. Lynn Schultz. With social media and outside pressure, people need safe places more than ever. I don't know what she was. That might have been a typo right there. If it's at work. Yeah, you're right. We do need safe places more than ever. Social media can present an idea that people are somewhere where they aren't, right? That we put on our best faces, or that it's the project we put on LinkedIn that's always great, right? We don't put the one where there was struggle and turmoil and all of those things. So I would agree, safe places and recognizing that we all are learning, we're all failing. Failure is just a part of the learning process. Really well said, Lynn.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm actually not a huge poster for that reason. I feel like social media does create this very strange construct. Like, everybody's life is perfect. Why is my life not perfect? We should all get together and post all the goofy, dumb stuff we do and all the problems we have in a day. We'd feel a lot better about it.
You're right. Maybe we should post in the power plant. What went wrong today? That might help everybody relate a little bit more on a
No
connect
doubt. No
because we
doubt.
all had something for sure.
Mhm.
Brenda, hi Brenda. What is the thing you value most from your manufacturers? Great
Yeah.
question.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brenda, for that question. For me, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It's about, can I develop the appropriate type of relationship? Like, that's just sort of the fundamental piece. We often talk to our manufacturers, say there's a few things we want to know when we're working as a really preferred manufacturer, which is number one, want to make sure that we're representing products that are exceptional and that the vendor shares our values. We actually talk first about values. For us at Singer, we have 3 values. Those values are: we tell the truth, we stand behind what we sell, and everything we do is for long-term relationships. And I say, if you as a vendor share those values, we're going to get along great. If you don't, it's always going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And our behaviors are that we are very responsive. We're very knowledgeable. We get back to each other fast. We focus on speed. So if you do those things, you're going to get along with us great. And if you don't, it's always going to be a struggle. So I say, if you don't think your values and you don't think your behaviors line up with us, if you want to get in alignment, it's going to be great. If not, maybe we're not the right partner for you. That's okay.
Yeah.
There are different types of partners. People work different ways. It's just the way we work. And I would actually argue the way we work is very intentional. I try to really, really think through what matters in terms of forming really good professional business relationships. And I try to break it down. I had huge lists of words that I put down, and I
Yeah.
struck them out. No, not this. It's more this, more this. Until I got to the ones we got to. But the number one above all was always responsive. Like, we wanted to move fast. We want to get back to our customers fast, and we need vendors who can get back to us fast. So that's the first thing, is that values. Are our values and behaviors lined up? Second is your product exceptional? Is it something we're really, really proud to represent? And then the third thing is we want to make sure that we have sort of the right programs and structures that work with our vendors, so that if we're going to bring the whole force of Singer to our partners, and we don't have a ton of them, that we're going to be recognized for that, and that we have the opportunity to win sales. And then the fourth thing, I always say this, is we got to feel the love. Got to feel the love.
Got it.
And the love just means that you know that I'm thinking of you special and first, and I know you're thinking of me special and first, and we really believe that and we act that way.
Yeah.
Then you got the magic of a good vendor dealer relationship.
Gosh, I love how well thought out that is and clear. It's it'll be fun to connect some point with some of your team. Now that I'm working in a new capacity with Calmill covering the East. I've never covered the East before, and to kind of come in with those questions. Hey, do you feel the love? All of these things. I love how clear you make it,
Mhm.
and that you give people the option to say you might not be this, and that's okay. A manufacturer
Yeah,
might not
yeah,
align with those.
totally. Because there are some people, they're like, I just can't get back to it. That's fine, but it's going to cause a lot of frustration. The main thing, honestly, the main difference is some people are primarily transactionally oriented, and that's not bad. That's just different. We are not transactionally oriented. We're long-term relationship oriented, and people are like, well, what does that mean? I don't really get it. What is the difference? And the difference is, there's going to be times in a business relationship where you have the upper hand. You have something the customer needs or that the vendor needs, and you can extract a really, really tough deal. But the deal is so good you can extract that you're really going to take some coins out of the relationship bank. It's going to hurt the relationship because
Yeah,
people don't like being controlled. Nobody likes to be controlled. And so you sort of make a decision that doesn't hurt the relationship with the other party, even though you could, because then what you're expecting is sometime in the future that will get exchanged back and forth, and you'll keep helping each other win. And but there's nothing inherently wrong with being transactional. It's a capitalist economy, and there's going to be times like when you have something that people want and you can extract margin for it. And if that's what you feel is right for your business, I totally understand that.
yeah,
I mean, I'll give you another example. Like, there have been times, put COVID aside, but during I think there was an epidemic, it might have been SARS. We had hand sanitizer and nobody had it. You couldn't get it. The price was like quadrupling. We just happened to be a supplier of it. Well, I have the right to quadruple my price as long as it's not price gouging. I can raise my price on something that's in demand. But instead, we don't. We go to our customers that are good long-term customers and say, look, we have it. We're going to price protect you. We just have to manage our allocation together. I just need to know you understand what I'm doing for you, and this is part of our relationship. And they understand it. And hopefully that builds and really cements a long-term relationship with a customer. But there's nothing wrong with charging more for a product that people want that you have. You just have to decide where you are and what you want to do with it. And if, in fact, the other party wants a relationship, or they just want a transaction with you.
Right.
We want relationships.
It's so refreshing to hear you say that. And I'm sure there are so many who appreciate that it's not just about the transaction, that you're in it to do the right thing and build that long term. I love it. Brenda says, thanks, Fred, for being such a great partner. We're happy to share all your values. That's cool. Brenda, love it. Stuart, Sharp, our buddy, Stuart, speed kills and honesty sets you apart. Couldn't agree more, Fred. Love it. This is our buddy, David Maxwell, one of your singer superheroes, one of my friends. We have Spark. I love it. Fred, remind me what Spark stands for. It stands for something.
That's actually our behavior. So the Singer Spark, you hear about that in articles. So service driven, that's the first thing. We celebrate and reward when we give great service to our customers and to each other. P is being professional. We have identified as sort of one of the core segments we try to serve our large companies, and large companies want to work with someone that's professional. That's generally the nature of it. A is accountable. People want you to know you're going to do what you say you're going to do. R is responsive. There's that big R. And K is knowledgeable. When I was very first in the business, I built out just the R and the K. Those were the two pieces I knew. I said 80% of the time people are calling me and telling me how delighted they are with Singer. They comment on how responsive our organization was to them, how fast we get back to them. And that was honestly 80% of the things they liked or honestly didn't like. If I got a complaint, it's not getting back to me. And the second thing is they love our people being knowledgeable, because they're looking in a professional relationship. They want an expert. They want to know they're working with someone they can trust, that's going to be able to look at the landscape, anticipate problems, give them the information they need, help them pick the best course of action. So those two things, massively important in terms of what every person, and that's honestly, it was funny. I started thinking about what customers want, but then I ended up thinking about what internally people wanted from each other. It's the same thing. They want someone in accounting who, when they call, they're right back to them. They're knowledgeable about the accounting. They want the AP person who's not. I mean, it's just, we all want the same thing. So I was like, okay, once again, ding, there goes the light bulb.
It's not a customer thing. It's a relationship thing.
It's a business relationship thing. But you can tear it all the way down to relationship. But you can have great personal relations. I have friends who can't get back to me for love or money. I love them, and they're just great to spend time with. They're so genuine and just wonderful people. Like, I can have personal relationships with those people. I cannot have business relationships with those people. I just want to.
Great clarification. Our buddy Evan. Fred, what advice can you give to a younger professional in the industry to continue to grow and build their career in the industry?
Yeah. So, Evan, I guess a couple of things that I think are important. So you probably can guess what number one is, which is build your personal network. And I say, if you don't have a mentor, go find one. In fact, go find 2 or 3. People love being mentors, but sometimes you have to ask. You have to call them up and say, hey, would you make time for me? It was interesting. At NAFM, I challenged my entire sales organization. I said those exact words to them. I said, if you don't have a mentor, go find one. And literally that day, one of my newer, younger employees came up to me, so psyched. He's like, Fred, I did it today. I asked 3 people to mentor me. Each one was delighted to have been asked and wanted to help me out. It's a great industry that way. People like to help and train others. So you should go make sure you've got the right level of mentors and network and build those personal relationships. And then the second thing is just learn. You can never stop learning. You do those 2 things, and the sky's the limit.
That's a great answer. I would concur. I think I have never asked someone to mentor me, or could I learn from them, or could I buy them a cup of coffee, who's ever said no, ever. Because people love sharing their insights. They love when someone admires the life they're living, the professional career they're building, et cetera, and wants to learn more. It's an honor.
Yeah. So, Jason, I'll tell you a crazy story.
Go.
One time I got a call out of the blue, and it was someone I didn't really know well, a gentleman named Neil Weber. And he ran a dealership called Kittredge in New England. It was a great company. And he was building a new warehouse. And he called me up and said, I saw in FIDA you guys just built a new warehouse. I'd like to come down and check it out. I was like, great, come down. He came down. He spent the day. We took him through the warehouse. He asked a bazillion questions. And he went back up and built a new facility up in New England. Unfortunately, Neil passed away not long after, but it was probably I'd say about 12 or 15 years after that I first met Wendy, his wife, and we ended up talking, and it was one of our first conversations and led eventually to an acquisition of the company. But you never know where this goes. You just don't know.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. Right. Who knows if they'd be a part of the Singer family now had he not reached out and said, "Hey, I'd like to learn."
Who knows?
That's pretty incredible. One of the things we like to do here is we talk about social media and how oftentimes we're putting a face on things. It's there's a level of inauthenticity at times there can be. So one of the things we talk about in the power plant conversations is challenge. We all experience moments of challenge, things that we go through that aren't the funnest necessarily, but they teach us what we're made of when we come through. Was there a challenge, Fred, in your life that you walked through that taught you, what, I've got more than I realized, or I can do these things?
So I'd say the most challenging portion of my professional career was the acquisition of M. Tucker. So M. Tucker was one of the largest dealers in New York at the time. New York had been a tough place for most dealers to build businesses. A lot of dealers had grown and then ended up going bankrupt over time. I had a very strong belief that Singer needed to be a larger dealer to be relevant in the market of the future. At the time, we're going back 20 years.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had written out a strategic plan that said Singer needs to be the leading dealer from New York to DC. And if we get to that size, we'll be big enough and relevant enough to matter to the manufacturing community that I'll be able to stay competitive in the marketplace and have a relevant solution to customers that others might not have. That was kind of my early strategic vision. And I said, I want to make an acquisition to grow faster in New York. Ended up acquiring Tucker, and that was hard. That was a very, very challenging acquisition for my first one. First of all, New York is for sure the big leagues. And I think my new team was a little skeptical. They're like, who's this kid from Reading, Pennsylvania? What does he know about New York? What does he know about the way we do business, the type of customers we serve? And everybody attacked. I mean, everybody attacked our customers. They attacked our people, to try to recruit them away. And it was just a complete war to build the confidence of the reps and the manufacturing community, the manufacturing reps, that we could do it. And I lived in New York for a couple of years to make that happen. And I am very appreciative of the team up there. They bought in, they believed it, and I mean we grew the business more than 300%. It was incredible. But that first year, that was tough.
Got it. Well, I'm sure you've learned. Obviously, you learned so much out of that, coming through that, and wonderful. Your acquisitions continue, and it seems this is from the outside looking in, but in listening to team members who Singer's acquired, whether it's at Kittredge, whether it's at T&L Drew and the team down there, et cetera, they so appreciate being welcomed into the community that is Singer. Like things that we're seeing just in this conversation, the willingness to create safe spaces, the willingness to be curious, to get back, all of these things. So I'm sure that was a part of why the success continues today in the model that you have.
Yeah, thanks.
Wonderful. This might be a tail end of that, but is there the proudest moment of your professional career and something of which you're most proud personally?
It's funny. I'm proud of lots of stuff. So that's a pretty good list. Honestly, I'm proud of every restaurant we build, of every long-term customer we have. I love going to a restaurant that we built and it's hustling and booming and they're serving. I just sit there and I go, we played a role in this. We helped build this amazing restaurant. I love that. I get such a charge out of that. And maybe it's because I'm not particularly handy. I can't build a lot of things with my hands, but man, I feel like I helped build each and every one of those restaurants with my team. It gives me a lot of pride. And I love meeting with customers that have been with us 30, 40 years, and just the the quality of that relationship that gets built. Oof, I can't do that. Also, I feel super pleased when people who have been with the company for a long time get developed and promoted. I can think of some specifics of people who I just get so much pride in watching them develop and grow. That's one of the big missions of Singer, to see our people grow. So when we do that, that's great. I'd say from an external point, there's probably two things that meant a lot to me. One's Dealer of the Year. You can't beat Dealer of the Year when you get recognized by your industry. That's amazing, right? It feels great to have our whole team recognized that way. The second is when we first formed NextGen, which was at the time sort of a revolutionary buying/marketing group. It was some of the biggest dealers in America at the time, many of them coming together. And they asked me to be the first chairman, the first leader of the group. And I was young, I was like 40 years old. And these are a lot of my industry heroes in the group. And I was really flattered that they put their trust in me, because this was economically critical for every single one of our businesses. This wasn't just hey, let's give Fred a nice award. This is like, we're putting a big part of our future in your hands. Let's make it happen.
I bet that would create a lot of pride. That is an honor. Look who's here. Maureen. Hi, Maureen. How fun. The M. Tucker acquisition was brilliant. And Fred's ability to incorporate and keep the talent is incredibly positive and to be commended. Really well said. Really
Thanks,
well
Maureen.
said. Thanks, Maureen. It's good to see you. Fred, finish this statement. I am happiest when.
I'm happiest when I'm making other people happy. I'm actually a bit of a pleaser. It can be a little bit of a problem, but it's true. I'm a giver, so I feel happy. Like if someone's like, "Here's a gift," I get a little uncomfortable. If I'm giving a gift, I'm all excited.
Yeah, I can feel that. That's wonderful.
But I have lots of stuff I love to do. I'm like, there's plenty of things that make me happy.
Do you have anything? Are you a bucket list person?
A little bit. I have bucket list.
Okay, top 3 things. 3 things on your bucket list.
Top 3 things. All right. So number 1 is I've set a goal company to be $1 billion. So
Okay.
that's bucket list item for me and for the whole team. Like we're all very motivated to build the business. The second bucket list item is I really want to raft the Grand Canyon. I really want to raft the Grand Canyon.
Awesome.
So that's number 2. And number 3 bucket list, I want to celebrate my 50th wedding anniversary. Lots of friends, lots of family. This was my 25th year, so we got 25 to go.
Awesome. Congrats. Those are awesome bucket list items. I love them. Joe Deckelman. Role models are the best mentors. Thanks, Fred, for the guidance. You don't know you're giving. Appreciate you, Jason, for putting this together and making positivity important. Joe, thanks for your comments. Thanks for joining us. You're giving it right back, my man. Fred, last question. We always end with the same question, almost always, and that is, how do you define success? So many people, Evan asked a question about, what advice would you give to younger folks coming into the industry? And everyone coming in would like to say they want to be successful. I don't know that we've all defined that in our minds, but everyone says it. I've yet to meet anyone who doesn't. How do you define success?
To me, I guess I have 2 definitions of success. So success, I think at its root, is leaving everything better than it was when you got it. So especially if you're in a family business, multi-generational, are you making the business better than it was when you got it? Are you leaving your team better than it was when you started building it? Are you making your customers better? Are you making your family better? Are you making your community better? Are you making your reputation better? If you're doing those things, that's success.
It's a beautiful answer, and it's hard to lose when you're leaving things better than you found them. Well said, says Kevin. Warren, gents, thanks so much. This was great. I would agree. Hey, Rio, good to see you. Tracy, hi, Tracy. Your enthusiasm and positivity is contagious. Thanks for sharing. Jeff Michael, what do you have here? Where is the future for singing? Has to be a plan for growth. Fred, you addressed that a little bit. One of your bucket list items, becoming a $1 billion organization. Anything else you'd want to add there?
Yeah, there's not too much further east I can grow. We're kind of up and down the east coast of the United States, unless we're heading to Ireland or Africa. We're kind of landlocked on that side. So next it's got to be west. That's where we have to go. I do like adjacencies, so we try to build adjacencies, but we do have a lot of national customers that are looking for us to continue to spread. We have employees off the East Coast. We have employees all the way California, but yeah, we want to do what we need to do to take care of our customers. And as we grow and our customers are asking us to go places for them, we want to go there.
Cool. That's fun. I love that. It gives us some hope of what's to come. We've got other questions coming in. Everybody, we can't get to all of them. I apologize. So we'll leave some on the table and in the groups. This is our buddy Glenn Lawless. I always appreciate Fred for letting me tell him stories. And I always appreciate his stories of employees and customer success. I love it, Glenn. Fred, before we wrap up, and thank you for spending, an hour with us tonight, we end with something called encouraging words, which are some employees, teammates, colleagues who say a couple of encouraging words about the role you've played in their lives and what they've learned from you. So I've got a couple here. If you don't mind, I'll read to you real quick. Our buddy Eric Santagato, your VP of Distribution Sales. I've had the opportunity to work for Fred for over 7 years. Fred has an incredible rare blend of intelligence, passion, and humility that makes him truly stand out as a leader in our industry. He also remains incredibly humble and approachable, always willing to lend an ear or share his knowledge and advice with others. One of his most outstanding qualities is his genuine care for his employees, his company, and the industry itself. I've always admired his enthusiasm and dedication to the industry and his ability to inspire those around him. I feel lucky to be able to work with him each and every day. Cool. Our buddy Joe Carbonera from FENS Magazine, Fred. There are two components to Singer's ongoing success. First, it's the company's ability to attract and retain talent that helps fuel its growth. Second, the company has become one that owners seek when looking to sell their businesses or make a change. That's because Singer has a reputation for being fair to both the people selling the business as well as the people working in the business. It's not either or with Singer, it's both. And what made Singer different from other companies is its ability to meld these two universes into one cohesive culture. One thing that stands out about them is how consistent and unified the company is from one location to the next. The company does not want robots, Singer. Rather, they want leaders that are autonomous, but yet they understand the company's goals and how they can support them on a local level. That unique, multifaceted approach is what really stands about Fred and Singer. Beautiful, Joe. Joe, maybe you should go into journalism. You've got some words. You've got some great writing skills. Joe, we're grateful for you, of course. Last, we're going to read from our friend Morgan Tucker, your vice president of marketing. I recall meeting Fred as just a teenager. Even as a young professional, he gave me his full attention. When you're speaking with Fred, it's a gift. He cares so deeply about people. He is invested. He is loyal, empathetic, with a soul of pure gold. Fred is a world-class thinker and a world-class human. Throughout my professional career, I've come to see what a unicorn Fred is. And I am ever grateful that someone who makes all decisions in the best interest of his people, his team, partners, stakeholders, he chose to become a part of my family. Beautiful, Morgan. Wow. Beautiful words tonight. We've got, thank you for sharing. This is Zena Dater out of Oklahoma. Love Spark. Sounds like an amazing company. I have many takeaways from you, Fred. Zena, thanks for joining us. Robert Cardinale. Hi, Robert. Thank you for your time, Fred and Jason. Powerful and lasting messages in this session. I'm glad that you could join us. Facebook, who's this? David Maxwell, our buddy. Great conversation. I'm grateful to be a part of the Singer organization. And David, I'm sure they're grateful for you, my friend. Listen, to everyone watching, thanks so much for joining us. Tonight was really a pretty beautiful conversation. Of all the notes I took, I take notes throughout our time. I think the one that stands out for me is, the greatest source of our joy is the quality of our relationships. It was one of the main components of Fred's accepted speech at the FNS Gala at NRA that Maureen and Joe and team put on, of course. And I hope that you get to experience depth and authenticity of relationship, certainly personally, but also recognize the possibility that exists for that within our industry. We are lucky. We're in a world where our business happens by breaking bread and helping people give customers the ability to break bread by opening restaurants and things of this nature. Know that we are really fortunate to have people who care, who are willing to be real, who are willing to listen, who are willing to, like Fred, create safe spaces, both to learn and grow and fail and do work, but also to be a human, to connect with others and just to be a person. So I hope you keep finding ways to get that. There's this belief that I hold that our relationships are the result of surviving a risk with someone. And so to the degree that you feel like you're able, go take a risk, ask someone to coffee, go find a mentor, to Fred's point, see if someone's willing to let you pick their brain and learn from them a little bit. Who knows what might happen 12, 13, 14 years down the road from that moment. I hope for you the absolute best in depth of relationship. Fred, truly, tonight has been an honor. Thank you for giving us an hour and so much of your time, your heart, and your life insights.
Thank you, Jason. It's been great. It's been great.
Wonderful. Everybody, thank you so much. Maureen, we're going to let Maureen have the last word. What a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Jason and Fred. This was another authentic conversation. Bravo, Maureen. Lots of love to you, my friend. Everybody, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.